I got a little bit into gambling, lost a lot of money, and I was just like, what is going on? This is not the life that I want to live. I want more out of life. I want to earn more money and not feel like locked up in an office 40 hours per week. But it took me more than 18 months from idea to earning my first dollar online. Three main other reasons why people procrastinate.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Badass Digital Nomads on Digital Nomad TV. And I'm sitting here in a really cool co-working space called the Freedom Lab in downtown Amsterdam with Jari Roomer, who is an entrepreneur. He is a writer on Medium, and he is the founder of the Personal Growth Lab. And I met him through Medium because he was writing amazing articles about entrepreneurship, productivity, procrastination, and personal growth. And we happen to be in the same place at the same time. So here we are to share a little bit about his story with you, how he became an entrepreneur, and how you can avoid procrastinating when it comes to starting your own business, or becoming a digital nomad, or making any other sort of intimidating lifestyle change. So welcome, Jari.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here. And it's so funny how we met just like 3 days ago on Medium. You commented on one of my blog posts and I saw you were here. So now we're here recording a podcast. So
that is
cool.
The world we're living in today, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too. I love it. I definitely love it. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background. So how did you get from being a college student, for example, just a regular person living in the Netherlands, to becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, it was quite an interesting journey because when I was 18 years old, I took a gap year, which is quite common here in Europe. So between college and university, you take a year off to just get experience, to work or travel. And I ended up getting a 9-to-5 job. I wanted to get some, office work experience because I thought I wanted to go into business, work in an office. Turned out that I absolutely hated that job. I hated every minute of it, but I had like a contract, so I had to work. But while working there, I didn't enjoy it. So that year, I also kind of self-destructed. I got a little bit into gambling, lost a lot of money, and I was just like, what is going on? This is not the life that I want to live. I want more out of life. I want to earn more money and not feel like locked up in an office 40 hours per week. So then I decided I want to get a degree because I want to learn more about business and I just want to learn more about making money. So I picked up every book, every course that I found about personal finance, about investing, studied guys like Warren Buffett, for example. And after a few years, I really got the hang of personal finance and of investing as well. And then I read the 4-Hour Workweek, which I'm sure you read as well, and many of you watching as well or listening. And I was like, hey, this is it. This is what I want. I just want a life where I decide where I work, when I work, what I'll be working on. So then I decided to create courses on personal finance. And that is how I started in the digital nomad world, in the entrepreneurship world. But it took me more than 18 months from idea to earning my first dollar online. And at the time, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know why it was taking so long. But looking back now, it was all because I lacked the personal execution skills. I lacked consistency. I lacked productivity. I was suffering a lot from procrastination. So eventually, as the months went on, I got more interested with that subject, the subject of personal development and really becoming a lot more productive and executing with more consistency. And once I learned more about that, I was starting to see more results. And that is eventually how Personal Growth Lab was born.
Cool. So how did you, a lot of people are always asking, how do you support yourself with your own online business? So I'm really interested, and people probably want to know, how did you cross that bridge from rock bottom, hating your job, not having a life, losing all your money, gambling, to learning and then getting into your own business? How did you support yourself during that time? And how did you bridge that gap between despair and and doing it?
Yeah, good question. Well, the only thing is, it's actually funny because when I was in that office at that time, the point that I had enough of it, I literally Googled how to become successful. That's literally what I did. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna Google how to become successful. And the thing that I found was that successful people read. They read a lot of books. So that's the first thing that I did. I went to the self-help section of Amazon and of every bookstore here, and I just bought a bunch of books on investing and personal development. And every time that I learned a new skill or got a new insight or something like that, or was able to break through a limiting belief, that pushed me a little bit. That pushed me a little bit to continue. Even though I wasn't still earning money with any of my own endeavors yet, the fact that I was reading about these kinds of people, what they were achieving, what they were doing, that was so motivating and inspiring that basically kept me going. And of course, also that I decided I never want to go back to a 9 to 5 job. That was also a very big motivator.
Yeah. I tried working a 9 to 5 once for like 2 weeks, and I was
Two
like,
weeks.
I can't do it.
That was the
Yeah, definitely. Although it's always like a good safety net to think like if it doesn't work out, you can always go back and get a 9 to 5 job. But hopefully, it never gets to that point. So, what do you think is the biggest thing that is causing procrastination? Because procrastination is something that's super commonly talked about when you're in school because people don't want to do their homework, they don't want to do their projects, and then it continues into college. And ironically, I didn't really suffer from it during that time. Like, I always got straight A's, and I never understood why people were taking Adderall and like trying to cram for tests. But then, like, the time that I feel like I experience the most procrastination is when I'm doing something new and like transitioning to a new career. Like, even going from business school into my first career, which was real estate, I had no idea what I was doing, so it took a long time to feel comfortable. Yeah. And then from when I decided to leave real estate and start my own business or do something different, it probably took me over a year or 2 years before I actually did it. Yeah. And then it also happened again when I had already started my business, and then I knew that I needed an exit strategy, and I knew that there were other ways I needed to challenge myself. I needed to create new things. All of those ideas that come up, that you can't ignore them. Like, if you have an idea for something, you have to either make it or you have to regret not doing it.
Definitely.
So that was, again, it took me probably a year or so of just like reading and thinking and journaling and whatever before I finally started doing it. And now it's something that has come up almost on like a very regular basis, because when you create a new business that you haven't done before, you don't know how to do any of the things that you want to do, so you have to learn everything from scratch. And even on one of my projects I'm currently working on, my developer quit this week because he said it was too hard and he just didn't want to do it anymore. So there's like always these hurdles, and like always this, in one of the articles I was reading that you wrote, you talk about like the different reasons why people procrastinate and then how to overcome it. So can you just kind of summarize that? Like, why are adults who are responsible and like trying hard and motivated, like why do we still struggle with procrastination, and then how do we get through it on a daily and weekly basis?
Yeah, well, very good question. And you said something very interesting. You said like people who are motivated, and you are motivated as well. When you're starting a new business, you're motivated, you're hyped, you're energized, you want to do it. But then why aren't you doing it? And that's the thing. Most people think that procrastination is a motivation problem. Oh, I'm lazy, for example. I'm not motivated. That's what a lot of people tell themselves. But that's hardly ever the reason why people procrastinate. So there are 3 main other reasons why people procrastinate. The first one is they have a lack of clarity. So like you said, you start a new business. All right, you lack clarity on how to exactly do it, or what is the best next step. What do I specifically want to do today in order to make some progress? Because you have this vision in your mind, what you want to achieve. But what is it that you want to do next hour or this day? You got to be very, very precise with that.
Yeah.
So there's a big lack of clarity with a lot of new projects, for example, that people start, and that's what's holding them back. So one of the things that you can do is create as much clarity as you can. So that means you define exactly what you want to build, and you write down on a big list every single task that pops to mind that you can do. So if you want to start a new business, all right, I've got to build a product. I got to create content. I got to do all kinds of other stuff. You write it down on a very big list because now it's in front of you and you can basically tackle every single task on that list one by one. But a lot of people, when this idea is just stuck in your head of I want to write a book, create a business, something like that, it's still too ambiguous. And our brain doesn't love ambiguity because that means we will have to spend a lot of energy and we'll have to go into the unknown. And
that's uncertainty.
Uncertainty, definitely. Two things the brain definitely wants to avoid because that's dangerous in private times. So you got to get as clear as possible on what you want to achieve. That's one thing. Second big reason, and especially when you're starting a business or you're exposing yourself through writing or through making videos or podcasts, for example, is fear. Fear is a very big reason why people procrastinate.
Yeah.
The fear of rejection. What will my friends think of this podcast episode that I'm recording? Or what will they think of it when I'm starting a new business? Will they look at me different? Will they judge me or maybe even reject me? So that's a big fear that people have, but they don't necessarily realize that once they start a business or go on a new project. So fear is definitely a big reason for people to not take action because it's way safer where you're right now, in your comfort zone, where you're familiar, where you have clarity. And once you have to get out of that comfort zone, all of a sudden you're basically a target for criticism or for failure or for ridicule or for rejection. And that's something that we don't want as humans. We want to be safe and protected.
Yeah.
So fear is also a very big reason when it comes to that. Yeah.
Maybe even fear of success too.
Definitely, yeah. Fear of success, what if this is gonna work? Can I handle the responsibility? Can I handle the money? If I will be successful, will people look at me differently, like my friends and family? All kinds of very subconscious, usually, these fears that hold people back from actually taking action on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
And there was something else that you wrote in that article that I had never heard before, but it is so true. And I realized I was doing it inadvertently. It was this 15-minute rule that you were, or 15-minute exercise. Yeah. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yes, that's the third reason, basically, why people procrastinate a lot. Because you can be motivated and you can have the clarity and you can also get rid of certain fears, but then still procrastinate. You still find yourself in a place.
Like this inertia.
Yeah.
Like the number one question that I get is how to start on the path to becoming a digital nomad, where to start when it comes to creating your own business and how to quit your job so that you can do it. But then people are just, they have uncertainty about all of those things and then they don't know even how to start or where to start. So I think that getting over that hump of inertia, this is a really good tip for that. So tell us how do you do that?
Exactly. So a law of physics is that an object that is not moving requires a lot more effort and a lot more energy to get into motion compared to an object that is already moving. In other words, when you already have momentum, when you're already taking action, when you're already taking some steps, it's much easier to keep continuing and to keep on taking action.
Yeah.
But if you're standing still, if you're not able to take action, or if you're not taking any action, that requires a lot more effort, a lot more energy to get into motion, so to say. So what you can do is a very, very simple exercise, and that is the 15-minute exercise. What I like to do on those days where, I know what to do, and I'm also motivated to do it, but for some reason I'm still taking walks outside, I'm still procrastinating. I'm like, okay, all right. I'll set a timer for 15 minutes, and for 15 minutes, I'm just gonna work. Just gonna work. I'm not gonna think about anything anymore. I'm not gonna contemplate if I should or shouldn't work. Just for 15 minutes, I'll set a timer, and once the timer is done, I'm finished. But the trick with the 15-minute exercise is that you won't stop working because you're already in motion. You're already taking action. You've already crossed that big hurdle, and once you are already in motion, it's very likely that you will continue taking action. And that is just a very powerful thing, but it's super simple to implement.
Yeah, I've actually use that in so many big, intimidating projects when it comes to like something strategic or content for my course or a video editing or anything. Like, I know it's going to take many hours and possibly many days to do it, so I don't want to start it.
Intimidating, right?
Yeah. But then sometimes I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to do it for like 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes, like depending on my mood. Like if I'm like, okay, 5 minutes, can I do this? And then, then all of a sudden you look up and it's been like 4 hours.
Exactly. It's just that getting started, which is the hardest thing. And if you indeed, like if you set a timer for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, it could be 25 minutes, whatever you prefer, you're already in motion, you're already starting, and now it's no longer this big thing of, the biggest hurdle is getting started.
Yeah.
And you now overcame it because everyone can work for 15 minutes, right? That's not intimidating at all. So that's just a quick exercise to really overcome that procrastination.
And I love these kinds of like practical tips that you can just do. You don't need to like learn anything or prepare anything. You just need to implement that one tip, and that's it. And actually, I noticed this too with the gym. Like the first few minutes of working out are the hardest.
Yep.
And then once you get past that and you get the momentum going, you can like keep going for an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. But it's always hardest in the first like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's what they say with running as well, right? The hardest step is the one off the couch. Because you're off the couch, you're already in motion, and it's easier to keep going on.
Exactly. So now you have been an entrepreneur for how many years?
4 years.
4 years now. Okay, and is it everything that you thought it would be? I mean, can you see yourself going back to a 9 to 5, or what do you like about being, you're technically location independent, but you choose to live here, but what do you like about having that freedom to be able to work where you want, when you want, travel when you want, and structure your business and your income how you want?
Yeah, I can't explain why, but I love it. And I can never see myself going back to a 9 to 5 job ever again, essentially. So I just felt trapped when I was working in an office 40 hours a week. Just the fact that I couldn't necessarily work on what I wanted to work on or take a break when I wanted to, and feeling that someone was watching every step that I took. I don't know, it just didn't click for me. And being location independent and deciding myself what the best next actions are, and also getting directly compensated for the more effort and the more strategic effort you put in, that's a very big motivator for me.
I think a lot of people are afraid of quitting their jobs and quitting having like the perception of a reliable job and a reliable income, and they automatically prepare themselves to make less money as a digital nomad or as a freelancer or as owning, as being a business owner. So how has your income changed in the last 4 years since you quit your job, and what are the types of income streams that somebody who wants to start an online business today can develop, and things that you've been able to do?
Well, my income has grown a lot, like it threefolded since I was working full time, so that's a very good thing.
And do you work the same amount of hours or less?
I work less.
Yeah,
I work less. And in the beginning, I worked more because I was still trying out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're learning a lot, and there's a lot that comes in your way maybe in the beginning, but that's just the period we have to go through. And then once you know your business, you know what works, it's just a formula, basically. And maybe you notice that as well, recording videos, you kind of know what to expect. You kind of know how many new email subscribers you will get, how many new people will buy a course, for example, or buy a book, that kind of stuff. It becomes some sort of a formula. So about the income streams, this is one thing that I learned from my personal finance background, is that you should always have multiple sources of income.
Yeah.
And for a business as well, if you have a business with just one source of income, and even if you would have just one job, a full-time job, that's dangerous because it can be cut off, and then you're left with nothing. So I'm very much in favor of building multiple streams of income, and that could be writing on Medium, for example. That's something that for me has been working quite well lately. It could be selling your own courses. It could be selling ebooks on Amazon, for example. It could be freelancing. You could do coaching, for example. You could even start on Udemy if you want to start with your own course, but you don't really know how to build an own website and kind of stuff. And you can start on Udemy or Skillshare, for example. But as long as you think strategically about how am I going to earn multiple sources of income, how am I going to create multiple sources of income, because I think that's a very important part as well for your own well-being, just to feel safe and feel comfortable, and that you know, all right, this source of income. I mean, look at Facebook, right? Facebook was so popular, and a lot of people were making a lot of money through Facebook. Algorithm changed, and a lot of people's businesses went broke.
Yeah.
So things can happen really quickly in an online business, which you can take as your advantage, or it could be a huge disadvantage.
And did you build each one at a time?
Yeah, yes and no.
Because you did say in one of the articles that like one of your biggest mistakes in becoming an entrepreneur was doing too many things at once.
Yeah.
And like this has been a life challenge for me to spread myself too thin consistently for many, many years. And I've done that also with revenue streams, and I've had to remind myself that I just had one. You know, in your old job, like you have one revenue stream, and then you add 2, and then 3, and it's like you can't just have 8 revenue streams overnight. You have to do one at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think indeed, if you start too many things at the same time, you will spread your own energy, your time, your attention way too thin, and none of the revenue streams or none of the projects get the resources that they require in order to blow up, in order to be successful. So maybe if you write an ebook at the same time that you're also recording a lot of YouTube videos, and we're also doing this and that, especially in the beginning, maybe you earn like $10 there and $15 there and $5 there, and you know, that's not really the way to go. On the other hand, I must say, if you're beginning, that is the way to get a feeling of which revenue source fits well for you and which one you can dive more into. So once you've identified your primary revenue stream for that moment in time, I would like quadruple down on it. I'll go all in on it until you've built it up and nurtured it and know how it works and know how to make a significant amount of money with it, and then you go on to the next source of income. That is personally something that I really prefer, because then you can give one project or one revenue stream all your attention, all your time, or basically almost all of your time and energy, and that is really what it requires in order to blow up.
Yeah, that's actually what we were talking a little bit before the interview, and I was saying how, because I read one of his blogs on Medium, and he was reading some of mine, and I hadn't even been going on Medium lately because I was writing my book. And I realized that, you know, over the course of a year, I was writing a lot of like ad hoc blogs, but the impact that would come from focusing all of my writing energy on one book could be much larger than if I just wrote articles throughout the year for a second year in a row, for example. And I started to notice a few things, like from procrastination, noticing that I was more in the mood to write a blog than to write my book, because it was perception of being easier to write a blog article all of a sudden compared to writing a chapter of my book that took more focus and more deep work and more thought. And that eventually I finished the book, and now I could start writing again. But if I was trying to write the book and blog at the same time, and I even turned down a lot of opportunities to guest blog and guest post and interviews and all sorts of things, I was like, no. Like I said no to everything for 3 months in order to do that. And if I had split my focus up between other things, my book would not be finished right now, or the rough draft. But, and also for this show, I read an article by another guy on Medium, and I reached out to him, and he's like, no, I can't do the interview until my book is finished. So he was writing a book too, and it's so true. Like I see this pattern in in people who are successful, and it's just really following one course of action until success.
Focus. Right?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you are teaching in your online course in the Personal Growth Lab.
So right now I have one online course and it's called Stop Procrastinating. And it's all of the hidden subconscious reasons why people procrastinate and all these strategies and techniques to get rid of it basically for good. So that at least, I mean, procrastination will always pop up. We'll never get rid of it entirely. But now when it pops up, you know what to do. And I decided to create a course because just a large part of my audience, when I asked them, what is your number one goal? And they all gave different kinds of answers. Then I asked, what is your number one obstacle from keeping you from achieving that goal? And basically the number one answer was procrastination, wasting time, not executing consistently. So that's when I thought, this is such a big problem. And I've recognized it as well when I started building my business. I procrastinated so much. And I mean, I really dare to say that procrastination is the number one success barrier. Because if you can get rid of procrastination, you can become a machine. You can create. You can create, and you no longer waste your valuable time. And you'll feel a lot better too, because procrastination, you won't feel good when you're procrastinating. Guilt, you feel guilt, and it just weighs on you.
I know, and everyone struggles with it, and everyone feels guilt and shame about it. I'm in a mastermind actually with a couple of Dutch guys, and we have a call every week, and we hold each other accountable when we see wasn't that on your list for 3 months and you haven't done it yet?
What's going on there?
And sometimes we can probably use some of your strategies to assess what's going on with this particular thing. Has it not been broken down into simple enough steps, or what is the block, what is the fear, what is around this one thing? For me, it was the book for 2 years, and I finally got a hold of that. And then the next hurdle for me has been the course, because it's been, okay, what goes in the course? How extensive should it be? How should I organize the content? And actually the book has helped me decide which order to put everything in. But then it's also, what if people don't like it? What if it's not helpful? There's all of these objections that come up. But just to know that even people like Ben Franklin and Stephen King and really anyone who's ever created anything, probably Beethoven and whatever, they all had self-doubt, and they all didn't feel like writing or composing music or inventing something that day, and they all failed a bunch of times. But you just have to produce a bunch, and something will work out.
Exactly. I think what you said, so basically everyone on earth feels procrastination or fears or other subconscious barriers that are holding them back, and that's normal. But then you need a strategy to know what to do with it, and you need to get clarity on, why am I afraid, and is it really that bad? And then you can really tackle it, get it out of the way, and then maybe next week another fear will pop up, or another resistance will pop up. But as long as you know what to do, then you can get rid of procrastination.
And I think that is also a big part of what's holding people back in quitting their jobs or becoming entrepreneurs or becoming digital nomads is just this fear of the unknown. And time again, I've helped over 1,000 people move to different countries, and always once they get there, they were like, that's what I was waiting for. They're like, it really wasn't so scary. It wasn't so bad. I wish I did this sooner. I hear the same stuff every time. And it's always the perception of the task or the challenge or the change that is more painful than the actual act of doing it.
For sure. I heard
a
quote lately. I was going to say, we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. That's exactly what you said.
And so tell us what is in your course, and what are you helping people with?
So in my course, which is called Stop Procrastinating, I explain 4 deeply rooted and psychological reasons why people procrastinate, and all the strategies and techniques to really get rid of it. And of course you can't get rid of it at all, because every single time it might pop up, those feelings of I don't want to work, and you feel resistance. But now you have a set of tools, a set of strategies to really know, this is what I need to do, this is how I tackle it, and this is how I can execute that what I have in mind, that what I want to accomplish.
Yes, because willpower doesn't work. Have you read that book?
I've read that book. It's very true.
It is, It's just you can't depend on your willpower every time, because otherwise none of us would be in this situation, this recurring situation of procrastination. You have to have a strategy for what you're going to do when you don't feel like it, or what are you going to do when you're tired, or when you don't know and you're confused. So, and where can people find more information on your website or?
Yeah, so people can go to thepersonalgrowthlab.com, and there I write blog posts about peak performance, so about improving your productivity, getting rid of procrastination, but also how to generate the energy to really crush it in your day. You can also follow me on Medium. My handle is @Jari Roomer, so JARIROOMER, because there I publish a lot of posts as well.
And I definitely recommend it. That's where I found him, because he writes a few articles per week, and they're all super motivating and actionable and concise. So I highly recommend that you follow him, and me too.
Yeah, follow her too.
Kristen M. Wilson on Medium. That's where all the cool kids are hanging out these days. And thank you guys thank you, Jari, for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom on how to be productive and beat procrastination with us. I'm sure everyone's appreciating these tips.
Sure thing. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome.
I think you got a good format here with the Badass Digital Nomad podcast.
Yes, only badasses on my show. And make sure, guys, if you want to see more interviews with other entrepreneurs and remote workers, freelancers, and digital nomads, check out my playlist with all the episodes of our weekly show, Badass Digital Nomads. And if you want to learn more about how to become a digital nomad and how to transition from a 9-to-5 to location independent, make sure to subscribe to Traveling with Kristen or my other channel, Digital Nomad TV. See you guys next time. Bye.
All right.
How do you say bye in Dutch?
You could say tot de volgende keer.
Okay, no. Take 2.
Yeah, take 52. Yeah, we good?
Everything's recording.
We good? Nice.
How do I pronounce your name?